Hey, it's Tonika Bruce, also known as Coach Bruce or the Network Nurse. I'm a registered nurse, an author, a leader, a doctoral student, a wife, and a parent. Join me on this journey to discuss nurse X's and O's from nursing to networking. With my experiences, failures, and lessons learned in leadership, business, and sports, my hope is to positively impact your life by challenging you to chase after your goals with relentless pursuit. Let's aim to achieve success beyond your wildest dreams. All right, so today we're going to talk about professionalism. Yes, you heard it right. Let's discuss a little professionalism when it comes to nursing. And just like any other profession, nurses should be competent in whatever work that they're doing and really just be focused on delivering any kind of just the top-notch quality of service for their patients or clients or residents, because the reality of it is that people's lives depend on that. So professionalism is one of the most important things, and it's required in order to achieve a top level of quality and efficiency. So as a nurse, you're probably wondering how you can achieve professionalism and really just stand out in whatever is your department or unit. And so let's just kind of take a little bit quick look at how that can get achieved. And the very first thing is that you've got to have great communication skills. Sometimes we get caught up in just assuming that people naturally communicate well, and that's not always true. But what we do know is that communication is key. So that way you understand how to talk with different kinds of peoples, whether it's your patient or whether it's your boss or your team. And when you're talking to the patient, you can find out exactly what a patient needs and feels. And if you're not able to communicate with different kinds of patients, when they may be from other countries, have different beliefs and different issues and ways of communicating themselves, then if you're not a great communicator, that can be hard. So if you're able to just clearly and easily communicate between yourself and the patient, that also helps with being able to just deliver care faster and deliver the proper care. And putting just your needs behind the patient, behind your staff, or any of the teammates that you work with, that also will help in just overall communication, because you're not always listening for whatever is your rebuttal. You're truly listening, or deep listening as I call it, to find out what's the true intent for the person that you're speaking to. How do they sound, and what are the words that they're saying, and truly what are the words that they feel? And when you're able to do that, you're able to communicate a lot differently and on a different level with the people that you're speaking with. So when you put your needs behind everyone else, it's key, because the service delivery and efficiency becomes a lot more paramount to the success of the overall patient's care. And it's also important when you're talking about achieving that high level of professionalism. Then also, what's most important is that you've got to be a good team player. So on here, we talk a little bit about sport and how with nurse X's and O's, and how sport really helps nurses and how it applies to nursing and healthcare today. And so the biggest piece is that you have to collaborate with so many different people. And you have to collaborate and talk with the patient, the patient's family, your other teammates. And if you're a nurse, you have other nurses on the unit that you have to work with. And you might not like them, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to work with them and do so in a positive manner, because you do. Everybody has an integral part, and if you don't do your part with regards to doing the best to communicate with that person, or 2, 3, or 4 or 5 people, then you're, in essence, you're failing at communication or being a good team player. You also have mentors and mentees. You have your administration, You have different people and ancillary staff. You have dietary, you have respiratory therapy, you have case managers, you have people that are very integral into the care of that patient. And if you're not a good team player in doing the things that you need to do, then it's going to be very difficult for that patient to have as positive of an outcome as they possibly can. Because really, you can be the person that's holding up the care, or you can be that weakest leg that's not giving the best care, which in turn really and greatly affects the collaboration of that care. So when obviously people are going to say, well, I don't always like the people that I work with. I get it. I've been there, and same thing here. But personal differences need to really be kept aside when you're talking about delivering service. And the manner in which you talk with your teammates is important. Standing at the door yelling and screaming to the top of your lungs or raising your tone, that's definitely not okay. Pull the person aside if you have some personal differences and discuss it quietly. But really, if it has nothing to do with the patient's care, there's really no place for it anyway. Because you want the patient to feel like they're in favorable surroundings and that they're in places that people truly care. That's our job as nurses, right? I mean, we have to truly care. Well, how can we truly care and treat our patients the best if we don't truly care and treat our coworkers the best? Think about that. And it's no different than going in and being hostile and irate to the patient when you're doing the same thing to your coworker, because ultimately our job is to provide care and to be in a positive light and to be at our best at all times, even when our patient is not always at their best. So maintaining a positive attitude is as important, if not one of the most important things with regards to being a good team player. So when you're having any kind of interactions with players and patients and co-workers, it's all the same. It's the same kind of thing, because everyone's looking for you for some kind of hope or emotional support or leadership. So being caring and being mindful about what you say is very important. In addition to that, you want to be honest and maintain your integrity as well, because you want people to feel comfortable. And I don't mean you want people coming to you with their problems and their drama, but you want people to be able to say that you were fair and that you were honest and that you stood for the things that you say. You can't say that you're an honest person, but yet and still you're always doing the wrong things. You're taking people's stuff at work. You can't very well say that your character level is high. However, you're always taking shortcuts, or you're the person that when you're training a new grad, that you're always teaching the new grad how to do things quickly and not necessarily the right way. You're teaching them the shortcuts. So if you think about with regards to the patients, your job is to really not only be a good team player around them, you also have to make sure that you are fully fulfilling the things that you're supposed to with regards to your character. So if you think about integrity, think about in a case of if a patient was misdiagnosed or there was some maybe negligence involved in the patient's care. You need to be that person that is not afraid to just stand your ground and speak about any kind of injustice about your patient, because you're supposed to be the advocate for that patient. And so if you're an advocate for the patient, you also have to be an advocate for your teammate as well. So you are in essence, the guardian of yourself and others around you when you're working that shift. And so you also have to think about just making sure you're open and honest with your patients and your teammates concerning any kind of things that are going to affect them. And in the case of your patient, you have to be honest with your patient concerning their conditions. And nurses, I don't mean, your job is to do the doctor's job and talk with them about things that they're asking that's beyond your scope. but in terms of giving a patient encouragement and to keep fighting and to just encourage them to do better, to do more. Those things are important because your job is to advocate and really push them so that way they can become better. And so all of that being said, professionalism in nursing is very important. It can be as important as safeguarding a patient by creating safe spaces for them. And also it upholds just the integrity of whatever healthcare institution that you're working in. If it's a hospital, if it's a nursing home, a memory care, or wherever it is that you're working, know that patients shouldn't feel scared to visit a hospital or to be in certain units or go, oh man, they talk too much, or oh man, it's negative environment there. Patients come into the hospital with cares and concerns and anxiety as well. And you don't want them to feel scared or fear any kind of stigma when they feel that hope is lost. So that's all I got for you today. Thanks for joining, guys. See you next time. Hopefully you guys liked today's episode. My goal is to be of help to you in making even the slightest change in your life through this podcast. And if that happens, then that's achievement enough for me. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. That's very important. And also connect with me on my social media pages. And if you want to know more about me, please visit tonikabruce.com. Now, there's always 3 things that you need to do in between now and the next episode. 1, don't forget to share it with your friends and family. 2, know when the next episode will be. And number 3, win your day.